Jomba, Jomden, de Java, da Jomba, Yandamba, Zobe, Sanje, Riba, Dan, Jasun, Demba, Devara, Sheba, Jigden, Jemba, Jebo, Dube, Galo, Jurwa, Lana, Meba, Lada, Menamje, Tomba, Sanje, Jomden, de Pejava, Shaja duva la jaze lo chedo jazo je o demba jomden de jin shewa da jomba yang da ba zobe zanje riba da shazo demba dewa ra shewa jigden kemba jebu duve kalo jurwa Lana meba, lada me namje, demba zanje, jomden de pejawa, shaja dobala, shaze lo jado yaso je ho, demba jomden de deshin shewa, da jomba, yandaba zobe zanje, Rigba dan shabsu demba dewara sheva jikden kemba jibu ondeve kalo gyurwa lana meba lada menamje demba sanje jamnende bejawa jaja doba la jazelo chudo jaso je ho sanje chudan soje chonam ala chanju pado tane jaso je dagi chushe jibe sonamanje dola penje sanje dobara sho sanje chudan soje chonam ala chanju pado tane jaso je Tagi chushe jibe sonama je dola penje sanje Drupara sho sanje chodan soje chonama ala chanju padu tane gyauso je Tagi chushe jibe sonama je dola penje sanje Drupara sho Good morning and Happy New Year and welcome back. I apologize for the late start of this year's semester. I have been occupied with lots of things. But I'm glad that we are able to at least start the semester. So those of you who are unaware of the fact that I have moved to another location, so this is the first, what you call the live streaming from this new location. So I'm hoping that the internet will cooperate. I wasn't able to get the Xfinity connection. At that time, they didn't have cable ready, underground cable, so I had no choice but to get CenturyLink. Not that CenturyLink, I'm having issues. Not that I'm having issues with CenturyLinks, but unfortunately, the infamy or whatever you call that, it's a CenturyLink. What do you call that? Notorious for its poor connection. So do let me know if there is some problems, some issues where you cannot hear or you cannot see. Let me know. Anyway, so welcome back to the first semester. As always, it is very, very important to set up a virtuous motivation. Even when we go and start any kind of a project or any beginning of any endeavor that you may want to take, we always try to set up our mind and make this resolution, that determination, and also at the same time make prayers for whatever journey you are embarking to be successful. So if we do that for the conventional things, definitely we have to do for the Dharma things. As you all know that whether one's actions become spiritual or virtuous or non-virtuous or just neutral, it all depends on what kind of motivation we start the event with. Also, whether even if our actions becomes a Dharma practice, whether it becomes a Mahayana practice or what you call the practice of the lower practitioners, whether our practice becomes a cause to achieve enlightenment or just a liberation for self, it all depends on our motivation. So it is very important to set up good motivation that aligns with Dharma. Of course, we always recommend, we always praise to have the Bodhicitta motivation, the motivation that in order to benefit other sentient beings, I need to achieve enlightenment. Because without achieving enlightenment, no matter how strong my motivation to benefit others and to alleviate their sufferings, we do not possess that potential. Only when we become Buddha, only then we possess that kind of potential, that kind of capability. So, our goal is to achieve enlightenment. However, the primary goal is to benefit sentient beings. So it is important to generate that kind of mindset at the beginning of this course. And then most importantly, really make a strong kind of resolution, to make a resolve that this semester, first of all, I will diligently attend. Not only I will diligently attend, I will try to apply at least something from the class. And then really bring about change, really bring about transformation, so that at the end of the semester, or even at the end of 2025, we look back and to ensure that we are proud that we have not wasted all that number of hours tuning into Sunday classes. Otherwise, we better spend our time. I think today, if I'm not missing this, Super Bowl or something, and you have other important things. So unlike other worldly things, so when we commit to Dharma practice, Dharma classes, we must do a bit differently. When you go and attend a normal lecture, it's okay. You listen, and then when you leave the lecture hall, you can forget about it. It's not that crucial to go home, take something back, and then, try to apply that in our lives. It's not that crucial. But Dharma classes, because why we are attending Dharma classes is to find something to bring about changes, to bring what you call transformation, to change ourselves into a better being. That is the whole purpose of Dharma practice. That is the whole purpose of becoming a Buddhist. Let me tell you this story. Recently, I had a conversation with someone. I'm not going to name the person. So I was telling the person that you shouldn't do that. Instead, you should do this. So the person's response is, this is who I am. I cannot change. So I told the person, that's what makes a person is the way you think, the way you speak, the way you behave. That defines the person. And if you are not willing to change these ways, then I said that the whole point of becoming Buddhist is lost. The whole idea of practicing is to bring about changes in the way we think, in the way we speak, in the way we act, way we behave. If we are unwilling to change that, then where would the transformation will come from? There would not be any transformation. So sometimes we forget. We kind of brag about it. Oh, this is how I do things. This is my habit. Of course, if your habit or the way you do things aligns with the Dharma, the qualities that you have are the good qualities. The habits that you have are the good ones, the virtuous ones that aligns with Dharma. Then you can brag about it. It is okay to have that, no need to change. Whereas, if such habits does not align with Dharma practices, then we have to first acknowledge that and then do something about it. Otherwise, it will be a wasted time and effort. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. And today, being the first class of 2025, I wanted to begin with this stanza by first Panchen Lama, Panchen Shuji Genzin. And it says, this excellent support, which is human rebirth, the body that we have achieved, the life that we have now, which is hard to find, but easily perishable, easily lost, is an opportunity to discern between benefit and harm. I think the better translation is opportunity to choose between benefit and harm, happiness and suffering, without being distracted by meaningless actions in this life. Please bless me to take hold of what is truly meaningful essence. So this is the prayer we make. So at the moment, for whatever coincidence or luck, of course there's no such thing as luck, we have achieved this human rebirth, which is free from all the unfavorable conditions and have all the conditions to practice Dharma. That's why we call optimum human rebirth. So Panchen Lama is saying that this time, when we have this opportunity, is the time to choose between benefit or harm, or loss or gain. Keben, Kenyin, happiness and suffering. It's time to choose between happiness and suffering. Of course, everybody wants to choose benefit over harm, happiness over suffering. But the things that we do, the means that we engage, hoping to achieve benefit or happiness, ends up leading us in experiencing more suffering, more loss. So this shows that definitely we are doing something wrong. So that's why I said, and I think the next line says, where we are going wrong. Without being distracted by meaningless action in this life. Somehow we believe we have this misconception that doing all this meaningless action, frivolous actions, can ensure happiness and gain, long-term gain, long-term happiness. But from our own experience, we know that that is not the case. For countless lives in the past, we have pursued this, the happiness in this life. chasing after wealth, chasing after fame and name, chasing after status. But where did all that got us to? We are still in samsara. But at least this time we are born as human beings. But who knows what is awaiting us when we leave this body, when our consciousness leaves this body. So if we still continue engaging in these what is called meaningless actions, then we are definitely making the wrong choice. So here one of the point is that the excellent support, which is this birth, this body, this life, which is hard to find. If it is not hard to find, it's okay. Waste your life. Spend your life, accruing wealth and chasing after all these worldly things. At least you can say, okay, next life, I will focus on long-term happiness, long-term goals. But it's not easy to find. You ask yourself, if you die today, how certain you are that you will achieve a human rebirth? How confident you are that you will not be born in the lower realms? Like an animal in the slaughterhouse. What guarantee do we have that we will not be born in such conditions? So that's why it is so important to really caution yourself. What I am engaging in, is this the right choice? Look at the image here. If you go to a buffet, let's not talk about cheap buffets like $10 buffet. You don't care. Let's say if you had to pay $200 for a buffet, and let's say it is worth that money and they have a huge spread. And the fact that you have paid quite high, it was an expensive buffet, what would you do? You wouldn't waste your stomach for just plain rice or something, isn't it? You would go for the most expensive ones. You would pile your plates because you want to maximize that opportunity. You want to make every cent count, every cent worth. So you would really, what do you call that? The phrase is stuff your face until you have even difficulty sitting out, or standing up and moving out of the restaurants. That's what we do. So when it comes to these conventional, unimportant things, these trivial, from the Buddhist point of view, is from the Dharma point of view, these things are very trivial. Trivial matters, we were so focused. We were so resolute, so determined to maximize the opportunity. But when it comes to a real scrutiny of our time and effort, we fail terribly. We get distracted by meaningless things. And let me share this. So I've been busy with the new property, the new that place, Gomba. And one time there was I was so exhausted, running here and there whole day, and I came home so exhausted. And I lay on my bed and I questioned myself. I asked myself, what is all this for? Why am I doing this? Why don't I just live a simple life? Why do I need this kind of place? And that kind of, instead of discouraging me, it kind of really gave me encouragement. And I realized that I'm not doing this for fame, for name. This is to benefit others, to help others. With that, we can reach more people. And indirectly, this is a kind of a contribution to preserving a tiny act from my part in preserving Buddha Dharma, and then to benefit sentient beings, benefit many peoples, to become this place a sanctuary, to become this place an oasis. That's why I call this new place, Drupa Monastery, the oasis of Dharma. The people who need, who are thirsty, can come to quench their Dharma thirst. And that kind of let me make fervent prayers and dedicate the hardship or kind of a what you call the effort that I'm putting in. So what I'm trying to say here is, sometimes it is good to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And in my case, it's fortunate that there is some bigger purpose. There is meaning. But other things most of us do when we try to caution our action, there is no bigger purpose. There's no meaning. It's just sheer, chasing after this life's goals. So anyway, we, as Benjin Lama is advising us, to take hold of what is truly meaningful essence. So what can we do? What kind of meaning or essence can we extract from this precious human rebirth? At the least, we can ensure that we achieve a good rebirth in the next life. Immediately after this life, we can ensure a good rebirth. So this human rebirth has that potential if we put our mind to it. At minimum, we can ascertain a good rebirth. We can die with confidence, with certain assurance that we are not going to be born in unfavorable conditions. And if we want to do more, we can do that. Even if you realize that, it is good to obtain human rebirth in the next life, but then I'm still under the influence. I'm still under the control of karma and delusion. As long as I am under the control of delusion and karma, I will never have peace. I will continue experience suffering. I will continue to suffer. I will keep coming back, keep cycling in this existence. So I better sever the ties or the loop or the hook or the nook that keeps me tied in this existence. So I better achieve emancipation or liberation or nirvana. If you are propelled by that kind of motivation, this body has the capability. We have this opportunity as well. And even if you want to achieve even more, like achieving liberation for myself is a very selfish thing. Given the fact that others have been so kind to me in this life, as well as in my countless lives, if I only try to liberate myself alone, that is kind of a selfish act. So I should really help these ascension beings. So for that, I need to achieve enlightenment. So I want to strive for enlightenment so that I can alleviate the sufferings of other sentient beings. So that is like aiming to become Buddha. And we can do that. This life that we have, this body that we have, has the capability, has the potential to achieve that goal. And more so if we want to think that, enlightenment is taking too long. In the meantime, countless sentient beings will suffer. So I need to achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible. So you can engage in the Tantrayana practice, and thereby one can achieve enlightenment within a short span of this life. So this human rebirth that we have achieved has all these potentials. But do we realize that? We don't realize the value of that. It is like you have a huge piece of gold that is covered in mud, and you have just discarded that aside somewhere in the corner, somewhere maybe in your garage or somewhere, because you have not realized that it is a gold and thereby its value. Once we realize the value, once we see that, hey, underneath this coat of mud, there is a gold, immediately we would clean it, and then from garage to our, the safest place. So likewise, we have to contemplate what this body can achieve. And if we do that, then we realize the value of this human rebirth, and thereby we will be committed in maximizing this opportunity. So, in short, given this opportunity, we can do so much. We can achieve so much. And the highest goal is enlightenment. Become Buddha. But the integral part, the most critical component, or the most important ingredient of Buddhahood is Bodhicitta. So, this Shantideva's Bodhicaryavatara, which has 10 chapters, that discusses first how to cultivate, how to generate, or how to develop that mindset, the bodhicitta. And then once we have developed that, how can we preserve that? And then finally, to perfect that, to improve that. So these chapters are divided into these categories. So we are now on chapter 8, which started off with how to develop shamatha, or the calm abiding, or that particular state of concentration. So we have covered all that. In the course of covering that, we discussed that. What are the obstacles? What are the things that we need to avoid? So of course, mainly the distractions. The physical distractions and mental distractions. So that's why Shantideva suggested for beginners, it is better to adopt a life of solitude. Then there is less distraction. And is that enough? Shantideva says that's not enough. Even if you maintain a life of solitude, if you are not mindful of your mental distractions, then no matter how remotely you are living, you may be living in the middle of the jungle, in the cave where there is nobody. But as long as you are not mindful of your mental distractions, then that is still an hindrance. One will not be able to develop that state of concentration. So we have finished that portion of it. So now Shantideva goes on to explain that now that we have discussed all this, having in such ways as these taught about the excellence of solitude, I should completely pacify distorted conceptions and meditate on the awakening mind. So, after contemplating on these various folds of kind of a worldly life, lay life, a life that can be that is not conducive to do the meditation, one needs to adopt the life of solitude. And Shantideva has discussed many points of the qualities of solitude life. So upon contemplating on these excellences of the solitude, it said I should completely pacify this distorted conceptions. So now this is a mental distraction. And once pacifying all these two kinds of distractions, what we should do now is to meditate on the Bodhicitta. So today I wanted to just kind of touch base. What I'm about to talk about is nothing new. You have already heard this countless times, and many of you have all that knowledge fresh in your mind. But for the sake of some people who are new here, and also those who are not new but needs recap or refresh their memory. So today we are going to talk about general things. So here the verse is, first of all, I should make an effort to meditate upon the equality between self and others. I should protect all beings as I do myself, because we are all equal in wanting pleasure and not wanting pain. So this is, I think the best is if I talk. This looks like I need to talk this first. Maybe it's okay. So we will keep that for. So there are two methods to develop or to cultivate Bodhicitta. So one is called the 7-factor or 7-point cause and effect. The other one is equalizing and exchanging one with others or oneself with others. So there are two methods. The one method is the lineage passed down from Asanga, and the one that we are going to cover is from Shantideva. So Shantideva's method of developing Bodhicitta has two parts. The first part is equalizing. So we will come back to this. So first, I wanted to go through this. These are nothing new. You have seen this before. Where is my slide now? Okay. So the question is, so we talk about developing bodhicitta. Bodhicitta being the integral part of bodhicitta. Enlightenment is like the main ingredient, and without that, there's no way one can achieve Buddhahood. We know that bodhicitta is known as the gateway to Mahayana and all that. So the question now is, can we develop bodhicitta? In chapter 1, we talked about we extol the qualities of bodhicitta. So of course, all this, all in all, is really good. It's something, we all admire. But the question is, can we develop bodhicitta? Is this an attitude that everybody can develop? Or is just kind of a, fairy tales kind of thing? So I wanted to give some kind of a, reasons or some support that it is developable. Is there such a word, developable? That can be developed, achievable, obtainable, can be cultivated. So this is what His Holiness is. We can develop bodhicitta because our fundamental nature is compassionate. So if our nature is compassion, then is achievable. It's like the gold that I gave, the example that I gave before. The mud smeared, the mud covered gold, by nature is gold. But at the moment, because it is covered with the mud, it is soiled, we cannot see the gold. But once you wash all that mud and soil off the gold, then the gold will start shining. Then you will see the value. So the gold that is covered in mud or the gold that is not covered, in terms of value, same. So nature is same. So we all have this nature. If our nature is compassionate, then it just takes time. We just need to bring that up. Whatever is veiling that, whatever veils that are blocking us to see that, we need to peel off all these layers and then bring it to the surface. His Holiness says, I believe that at the most fundamental level, our nature is compassionate, and that cooperation, not conflict, lies at the heart of the basic principles that govern our human existence. And look at this, the picture, that duck and a dog. Sometimes you see a rat or a mouse and a cat together. If a mouse and cat can live harmoniously, can live in harmony, then what else is not possible? This is just to refresh. So today we are going to watch few clips. I think that these are good. These are coming from the scientific side. These all, I believe, supports that what His Holiness said about that our nature being compassionate and kind.
Here you see me on the split screen, standing on the right, hanging towels on the clothesline, and then I accidentally drop a clothespin on the floor. And while I'm doing that, an 18-month-old toddler is watching. So what I found in this study is that children in this kind of situation in which I drop something accidentally, they will frequently pick it up and give it to me, right? However, you might wonder, why exactly is this child doing that? Maybe the boy thinks that clothespins don't belong on the floor. Or they just give it to me because they want me to repeat the action, or they just see this as an opportunity to interact with me. So this is why in this task we included a control condition here in red, where it was the same basic physical situation, but it did not present a problem to me. So namely, I would stand there and throw the clothespin on the floor and not reach for it. But in this case, children don't pick it up and give it back to me. So by contrasting this experimental condition in which the clothespin on the floor was a problem because it did not match my goal, they helped. And in a control condition in which they could do the same thing, but it wouldn't help me, they wouldn't do it. So maybe they are actually quite helpful. Let's look at another situation. So in this case, I first put a stack of magazines into the cabinet, then went to the other end of the room to get more magazines, and then this happens. All right, again, we found that in a situation like this one, children would frequently open a door so that I could put my magazines inside. And this is different from a control condition in which I also bump into the doors. However, previously I had put magazines on top of the cabinet, and now the closed doors don't present an obstacle to my goal, right? And in this case, as you can see, none of the children ever opened the door. So this shows us that they're not just reminded about how much fun it is to open doors or they think something interesting is in there. It seems like really this behavior has something to do with my goal. So when you see these kinds of situations, it's kind of impressive and certainly funny, but you might wonder, can they infer a goal they have never seen be achieved? Because in these situations, they have seen me before achieving my goal, so maybe they're just reminded of this. But then we created a situation in which the children actually had never seen me complete my goal. I was so clumsy that I always failed. So this is the following situation in which I sit on the right, again, the split screen, and an 18-month-old across the table from me on the left. So here, even though the children had never seen me put a book on top successfully, they would help me with this, as seen in this experimental condition. However, if I put the stack of books in front of them and the other books around it, they didn't do that. So they didn't just want to build towers whenever they have the opportunity. It seems like it really has something to do with my goal. So the next question you might ask is, are they able to help in a situation that they have never experienced before? So in these kinds of situations, you could imagine that they've seen this before at home, they have been in that situation themselves, and maybe their parents have told them what to do. So what we did to explore this possibility is we created a situation that they could not have potentially experienced before by introducing a box that has a flap on the side and a hole on top. And another experimenter previously showed them this novel box that they have never seen before, and they successfully opened the flap. And then later, I come into the room with my coffee cup and a spoon, and then this happens. Oh. All right. So what we found, again, in this situation that you saw here, children would help by retrieving the spoon from me and giving it to me, but they would not do that in a control condition in which I throw the spoon into the hole on purpose and don't reach for it. So again, it seems like their act has something to do with my intended goal and not just the objects in front of them. So after finding that the children are quite clever in their helping, you might ask whether they maybe have nothing better to do in these kinds of situations than to help me, right? So how boring to just hang out with mom or something. So maybe this is the reason. So to investigate whether children are willing to help when it's a bit more costly, we created this situation where, just like in the clothespin task, an experimenter is writing something and then drops a pen on the ground and is reaching for it. But this time, this 2-year-old is having fun in the ball pool.
Liebe Mama, guck, das wird okay. Na sowas. Na sowas. Na sowas. Dann kannst du viel zu Ende schreiben. Deine
So what we found in this study and several others is that children are actually willing to put some effort into helping. And as the word toddler already says, they are not quite as good at walking. So when we put up a whole parkour in front of them where they have to surmount obstacles, they continue to help. And when they have to pay opportunity costs by disengaging from a fun activity, they're also willing to do that. So it indicates that children really are willing to put some effort into helping. What you might have noticed in these situations is that there's always a very salient cue, a behavioral and often a facial cue that there is a problem, someone reaching for something, someone bumping into the doors. But when we think about adults, it is the case that we also help often without any of these overt cues. So this might be a situation where someone is walking along the street and drops their wallet, right? We might run after the person and give the wallet back. Or if there's a job opportunity, you might remind a colleague or friend about that. So we often proactively help others. So the question now was, will children help when these overt behavioral concurrent cues are absent? The way we tested this is displayed here. So this is a bird's eye view of our experimental setup where an experimenter is putting cans away into a basket. But importantly, she's doing that turned away from the child who is having fun playing a game on the left, okay? And so what happens is that she usually is able to put her cans into the basket, so this is all fine. But then without her noticing, suddenly a can rolls off the table. So the question is, will children help in this situation? So here's a video of a 2-year-old who witnesses how she's doing stuff over here and then a can drops down.
in there. I'm gonna put that one here. And then let's see, I've got this one. For the big box. Put that here. And then here's a small one. I'll put that here. Put that right there. And then here's another one. See, these are the same size. Let's put that here.
Yeah, so that's the video. So this is to suggest that at that age, the inclination is to help. I think when the kids are very innocent. It's like kind of a blank slate. So when they are in that stage, it looks like our nature kind of comes out. And then later we learn all these discriminatory things. We learn to discriminate this and that, and then somehow it kind of shadows or covers the true nature, which is kind and compassion and this helping intention. I think that's what they're trying to get to. And then the next experiment, I believe, is that not only we are fundamentally kind and this inclination to help others, but we also prefer kind people. We have liking for kind people.
If if you recall, Richie played a little video and talked about how the study by Kylie Hammond and her mentors looked at how when 3 to 5-year-olds watch a little puppet show, there's a puppet that's trying to get some candy or some toy out of a box, and another puppet comes and helps or harms. So I'll just play 1 minute so we can see that video.
At the ripe old age of 5 months, know the difference between right and wrong. Wesley watches as the puppet in the center struggles to open up a box with a toy inside. The puppy in the yellow shirt comes over and lends a hand. Then the scene repeats itself, but this time the puppy in the blue shirt comes and slams the box shut. Nice behavior? Mean behavior. At least to our eyes. But is that how a 5-month-old sees it? And does he have a preference?
Wesley, do you remember these guys from the show?
To find out, a researcher who doesn't know which puppet was nice and which was mean offers Wesley a choice.
Who do you like?
He can't answer, but he can reach.
And so
제일 로봇인들. His Holiness is wondering if it's not a coincidence. So it must have been repeated several times.
yes, so many babies in the experiment, and overall what they find, I can't remember the exact number, but that 87% of all the babies they test reach for the one who's helping versus the one who's harming. Pause.
Even Charles Darwin says that the greatest number of the most sympathetic members would flourish best and rear the greatest number of offsprings. So another evidence to support that we can develop bodhicitta is this one, the brain plasticity, neuroplasticity. So for a very long time, until 1970 or something, so neuroscientists believed that there is a certain period in your life until you reach adulthood that your brain can be developed and you can change the structure and function of your brain. But once you reach the adulthood, then your whatever hardwired is immutable, it's fixed. Nothing can be changed, or at least largely cannot be changed. But after 1970, so this is a big finding or a revolution that your brain, no matter what age you are, you can change. The brain has the ability to change and adapt its structure and function in response to a stimuli. It can generate new neurons, neurogenesis, or it can sprout new connections. So that's why we have this phrase called train your mind and change your brain. So if you are interested, there's a book called that very name, Train Your Mind, Change Your Brain. And it's a very good book written by, I think, Sharon Berksley. It is based on Richard Davidson's research. So the implication. So this finding has a huge implications in terms of personal transformation. So given this fact, then now there is a possibility that we can reset our what is called the happiness meter. And also by training our mind, we can break the cycles of depression. And likewise, through training, through repeated engaging in a particular action, we can remap our brain. So that means we can cultivate compassion no matter what age you are. So these are very encouraging. So when you see and hear all this, then it's like, oh, okay, Bodhicitta is something everybody can develop. It doesn't discriminate. It only discriminates your effort. If we don't put effort, of course, nothing happens. No rewiring happens. So these are to support the fact that bodhicitta is achievable. Do we have time to go through this? So I just wanted to quickly go through this. So this is our goal. I don't know whether you see my cursor. I don't think so. So anyway, so bodhicitta is our goal. So in order to achieve that, we need to develop superior thought, superior intention, or sometimes they call it special resolve, special intention. So special intention is, I will take upon myself the responsibility of elevating the sufferings of others and offering them or providing them the lasting happiness. Not just praying, not just leaving to other people, somebody to come along and, do this, but it's basically saying that I'm going to shoulder this responsibility. I will do this. So that's superior or the special intention. So this will only come about when we have this what is called great compassion. The great compassion is no matter who the person is, you have this strong wish to elevate the sufferings of sentient beings. Normally our compassion, normal compassion, is very focused. It's only spotlighted to those of your inner circle, those whom you label as your friends, your family, that small circle. Hardly it extends outside that circle. So that's not the compassion we're talking about. The great compassion is that no matter who the person is, whether it be your friends or foes or strangers, it has this strong intention, aspiration or intention to elevate any suffering. So of course, when we say suffering, so we need to have better understanding of what suffering is. Most of us refer suffering as the physical suffering. So suffering, we know there are three types of suffering. Suffering of change, and then pervasive suffering. So that's why in order to develop great compassion, we said that we need to first develop renunciation. Because renunciation comes upon contemplating on the suffering nature of our existence. Then we need to just, redirect that onto others. And that's when we generate that compassion. Because upon perceiving the sufferings other sentient beings are in, then this spontaneous generation of compassion, the desire to elevate the sufferings and pains of others, arises naturally, spontaneously. In order to develop compassion, we need to develop first this, the loving kindness, or what is called the sense of endearment. So this loving kindness or great love is also different in terms of its objects, how far it can reach. So this, I like to use this word sense of endearment, because for me that gives that kind of captures the meaning of that. So what is this sense of endearment? So it's kind of the kind of love that you have for your only child. So if you are so attached to your only son, let's say if you have only one child, and you are so much in love or in attached to that son, and it's like you can the loving kindness is so strong that you cannot bear even the tiniest harm come to that person, and all the time you would want all the happiness in the world for that person to experience. So when we are able to generate that kind of love to all sentient beings, that becomes this great love. So great love leads to compassion. So when you have that kind of love for everybody, then this automatically, when you see or perceive them suffering, this compassion to elevate that suffering arises naturally. And with that, you develop this, okay, I will take upon myself the responsibility to elevate their problems. And for that, I need to achieve enlightenment. So that's when you achieve bodhicitta. So now, how does we reach here? So there are two ways to reach here. One, as I mentioned at the beginning of the class, there are two methods. So one is called the 7-point cause and effect. So like recognizing everyone as having been our mother in our past, because we have taken countless lives. So in the countless lives, all sentient beings had been our mother. So we have to go through this first 3, which is, first is the recognizing that all beings had been once mother, and then remembering their kindness and feeling this sense of gratitude, and then this intention to repay. These 3 leads to loving kindness. So even though there are 2 methods to develop, both of these are aimed at cultivating this loving kindness, great love. So one is done through this recognizing that others have been our mother in the past, so therefore they have been very kind, so we develop this sense of gratitude, and then we develop this intention to repay. And that's when we are able to develop loving kindness. But the other method that Shantideva subscribes, or the Shantideva recommends, is equalizing and exchanging self and others. So the both try to engender this attitude, the loving kindness, or the great love, or the sense of endearment. Once we are able to develop this sense of endearment to all sentient beings, then we are able to develop compassion. Then compassion will lead to this special intention or special intent. And then that will lead to bodhicitta. So that's the general thing. I don't know whether we have time or not. I think we will stop here. So the most important part of the other method, the method subscribed, or the method recommended by Shantideva, I think it's both one. We need to first cultivate equanimity. We have to remove that bias. We have this bias. So we have given these labels to group of peoples. We have given the label of friends or loved ones to a certain group of people. And then to others we have prescribed this label of foes or enemies. And then there is a certain group of people whom we call them strangers. Develop indifference to these people. So because of these different categories, we respond to these people differently. So for those who come under the label of friends, we have this attachment. Whereas to our enemies, we have developed this aversion, and then indifference to those whom we consider as strangers. So we have to first level it. Like the painters, before they paint, they have to have this everything white. Only then they can start painting. Like in the picture, when you build a house, you have to first level it. Only then you can start building. Whether you want to build 1 story, 2 story, 3 stories. And farmers, when they plant seeds, they have to first kind of remove all the the rocks and weeds and all that. They have to clear the land first. So likewise, we have to develop this equanimity to these groups. So we will further discuss this in our next class. So we will stop here. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next class. Let's say the dedication prayers. Tagi jini zabe nyawa de dendan drowa kunla kangben dan kebara jizun lozan tawa ye tembe nyingbo ringdo seje sho. Jambe bawe chedara chamba dan kundo zambo tenyan tejendo teta kunge jesu talovich. Jawa deda tamje rabdo ngo duzun shekbe jawa tamje je ngowa kanla shodo ngawa dagi gewe zawa digun jan sambo chuji rabdo ngo warar yes. Thank you.